Hello, everyone. Thank you for tuning in. I am 5150, and this is Minecraft. So, before we get too far into what's going on, uh, welcome back. Thank you for joining me for another thrill packed episode of 5150 Plays Minecraft. Okay, so I was thinking earlier that I wanted to kind of split this map up into different areas to do different things, and I want the power generation and storage area to be somewhere else. So what I've done, and I apologize, I forgot to hit record. I I set the boundaries around this large reactor, and I'm currently filling it with sand. Now the reason for that is the jellied cryothium is liquid. The filler does not recognize liquid. It sees an empty space. So if I set this to tear down this reactor, then I'll have a large puddle of jellied cryothium oozing all over the place, freezing everything. It just won't be good. Now, what I've done in order to move this large reactor, whoops, wrong button. Here we go. I took a snapshot of it with the architect table. Gee whiz! I just washed my tongue. Can't do a thing with it. And I'm rebuilding it here in the power area. Now you'll notice this block here. This is a chunk loader. It is from a mod called Chicken Chunks. Now Chicken Chunks does not come with this mod pack. However, in my opinion, it is too useful not to have. So I added it in. That's actually quite simple. Download the mod, copy it into the mods folder, and as long as the versions are correct, it'll work. It's really neat. So this device here allows me to keep this machine running if I go away. You see, the map I'm on is larger than the surface of the planet that we're on in square yards. The map is bigger than the planet. So it just would not be feasible for a computer these days to load the entire map all at one time. So what it does is it only loads for a certain distance in all directions of where the player is. Well, right now, obviously, this is all loaded into memory because I'm standing right here, and so this machine is operating. But as soon as I move far enough away so that this area is no longer being loaded into memory, this machine will stop doing what it's doing. It will stop all progress. So this device here from Chicken Chunks is a mod loader. It looks to the computer like a player. You can set it to different radiuses. I normally set to 5. That'll be plenty to cover what I'm doing here. So I can go elsewhere on the map. It doesn't matter how far away I go. This machine will continue to operate and continue to do its job. Now the device I'm using to travel back and forth, this thing here in my hand now, is a charm of dislocation. Or let me get precise, an enhanced charm of dislocation. It's from a mod called Draconic Evolution. Gee whiz, I keep stumbling on myself today. It's from Draconic Evolution. Draconic Evolution is a really, really good mod. It has a lot of really good and useful tools. We will be covering their take on power storage in an episode not too far down the road. But you'll notice that since we were gone, this machine has continued to fill this reactor with sand, and because this chunk loader was here, we don't have to be right here on top of it in order for it to happen. Now, what I'm going to do is, oh yes, I also want to move the little reactor, the little one I built over there. So in my fit of forgetting to record, I prepared this reactor by putting the markers in the 4 spaces. And here we go. Okay, I'm going to place a architect table there, and then I'm going to put the reactor pieces back where they belong. There we go. All right, and I need a blueprint. We'll name the reactor so that we know what the thing is for, what the blueprint is for when we get it there. There. Now, again, we need to get rid of this reactor. However, it's not going to be near as difficult. What I'll do is I'll just load sand in from the top. One of the neat things about using sand to displace a liquid is that it obeys gravity. It will fall. So I don't have to put the sand. Oh, that's right. This cryothium is only 1 deep. I forgot that. Okay, so now I'll just tear down this little reactor here. There we go. Tear it down, tear it down, tear it down. There we go. And so now I'm going to go rebuild it in the power area. So there's the big reactor. Let's see how the little one's gonna work here. Maybe right here. There we go. Give it power, and off we go. Now this one should just take a minute or two. It's just a tiny little thing. There we go. Here is the small reactor relocated. Now the building of this large reactor is still going, and this is going to be a slow process. This process will be not quite so slow. As you can see, the sand is progressing very nicely. Now, as soon as the sand fills the reactor and we have no more jellied cryothium in it, then I can remove this creative strongbox, this item duct, this torch here, and then I can set the filler from fill over to clear, and it will then tear down the reactor all the way. Okay, so I'm going to get a decent vantage here. Okay, and I'm just going to speed things up at this point so you can watch this happen really fast. We can get rid of this, 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 and set this to clear. And now it will begin tearing down this reactor. And there it goes. And this is another process that's going to take quite some time. Let's go over and see how the new reactor is doing. Oh, see, we're making progress here. It's building up and building up. How about well, no, I'll tell you what we'll do. Now that this is going, there's another couple of things from the Big Reactors mod that I'd like to show you. And what that is turbines or turbines. In the Big Reactors mod, you can make passively cooled reactors like this one here, like the big reactor that I built before, cooled by a substance inside that stays inside the reactor. And there are active cooled reactors, which are essentially large volume steam producers. The large volume steam producing reactors are specifically to turn steam turbines. And let me show you, here we go. Let me show you real quick what those look like. And I'm going to speed this up a bit. Now this is a turbine, or a turbine, sorry. It operates on steam that is produced by a actively cooled reactor. You have ports where steam comes out, where steam goes in, and up here at the front, we have a bearing required for the shaft to ride on, and then we have a way to get the power out, and then here's the controller. So, this is particularly useful in something that you could call a power pack. And let me show you what those look like. Or power set. Okay, now you'll notice this is a much larger machine, but the machine I'm building does not completely fill this. This is actually a little bit deceptive. Let me show you what I mean. Okay, first obviously it's going to get rid of everything in its working area. Tear down these trees. And we can see the big reactor back there in the background, still chugging away. That reactor is going to take quite some time to build. Oh, this is the correct one. Good. Okay, so what I'm building here is this part that's building now is going to be an actively cooled reactor. Actively cooled reactors use water for cooling. Now, this actively cooled reactor is going to be connected directly to 4 turbines, and it will power those turbines or give those turbines the steam that they need to create a lot of RF energy. Now, this reactor has 5 fuel rods and 5 control rods. There's looks like 2 of them have yet to be put in. The builder doesn't necessarily do everything in the order that you think it should be done, but it always seems to get everything done, so I really don't think I could complain too much. Okay, so that's what's happening here. Let me go ahead and get a good perspective, and we'll just go ahead and speed this up and watch this build really fast. Okay, looks like it's done. Not sure why I can see. It did not quite turn out like I had hoped. I had hoped that I would have a ladder here, but that didn't work out. I guess the builder couldn't build it or something. Oh well, that's life. Okay, so here I have an actively cooled reactor. You'll notice there's no coolant between the fuel rods. What I need to do is, because I was running it before I took the snapshot, so I need to make sure I get all the old stuff out. Let's get some, whoops, in my fat fingers. Okay, let's make sure we got enough fuel to run this thing. Okay, now, the only thing we're missing is water. I need to get water into the reactor so that it can make steam. This is the reactor. It's the reactor access port. Here it is. Reactor coolant port. It's currently set to output. You see the red arrow is pointing away from the center of the block. So what I'll need to change that is a wrench. Whoops, put it in the wrong place. There we go. Alright, so now we're going to use the wrench to change that to input. Now I need some fluid duct. Okay. And we'll just get some fluid duct here, nothing special. We're just moving water. And I'm going to need a servo. There we are. Oh, I already had one. And I'm going to need a tank. This type will do. Oh, and I'm going to need some water. And my fat fingers again. Okay, so I'm going to... Nope, not item duct. Fluid duct. We'll put the we'll put tank here, and we will put some water in the tank. This will not be enough, but it'll be enough to get started with. Okay, that will empty down into the reactor. Now what I usually do is I will fill the reactor cold. Let's bring this up to full. There we go. Okay, so the reactor is full. Now that it's got coolant in it, let's fire it up. Okay, now you'll see the water went down very, very quickly. It doesn't have enough in it. It can't hold enough to make everything work. Okay, now we're coming up. And maybe a few more. Okay, that's good. So now we will begin turning on the turbines. Okay, one at a time, we'll go around, turn these on. Okay, there we go. Okay, now they're all 4 of these turbines putting out power and sucking up water. Let's see how much water we have now. Okay, it should run at right about half full. If you have it full while it's running, I understand it sort of locks up and refuses to work. And here we go. Now you can connect, this is for waste cyanide out. And this is to put in yellorium, either blocks or ingots, whichever you prefer. I like blocks because, they're bigger. So this is an active cooled reactor setup running 4 turbines. And this will create, each of these turbines will create what, roughly roughly 30,000 RF per tick a piece when they're up to speed. So 30, 60, 90, 120. So we have 120,000 RF being produced by this arrangement here. The big reactor, well, you can see it's still chugging along. It's still making progress, but this is going to take a long time to complete. I may wrap this episode before this completes because this is just going to take forever. Let's go and see how the destruction of the old big reactor is going. Oh, and that's coming along very nicely. Very nicely indeed. Yes, that's coming along quite nicely. Well, okay, I'm going to go ahead and sign off here. There's not much else to see. We've covered actually quite a bit, moving things, and you may have noticed in my videos I don't give recipes. The reason I don't give recipes is because they're so easily available in this mod pack. You just click on something in survival mode and you get the recipe. I don't feel that it's necessary for me to go over information that everyone has extremely easy access to anyway. So look up your recipes. I just would prefer not to spend my time in the videos going over information you probably already know or can get a hold of very, very easily. So with that, I'm going to say thank you, everybody, for joining me here. I'm going to call it a day. 5150 signing out.